Hello and welcome back to the channel now. I did say I was going to make my Impact reviews weekly, as well as NXT and AEW. There was some things got in the way. Last week I wasn't quite able to do them. So it has been 2 weeks. I'll admit, 2 weeks have gone. Yeah, I won't lie, it's kind of on me. It's also kind of on Impact Plus for not working last week. And then with it's been a whole thing, but finally I've got back. It's working. I had a couple weeks off. There was some things that went wrong in the in between, but I'm here. Don't know how much. Don't know if I'm going to keep doing with NXT. Not sure. Maybe that was just the one thing for that video. I definitely will be making more AEW stuff, more Impact stuff, and I'm going to try my best to eventually start making more and more videos each week, and just put as much stuff as I can onto YouTube. So anyway, last night Impact was on, as it always is on a Tuesday, and it was very good. Impact, like I have been singing the praises ever since Slammiversary. Every time I would watch Impact over the past couple of years, I'm like, oh, look at all these people. Eventually, whenever I would come back in, I'd be like, look at LAX, look at the Lucha Brothers, look at all these people that I really, really, really like. And then they would sign for AEW or Ring of Honor or WWE or just leave. And that was a big shame because people like the Rascals I love, and Jordan Grace I loved, but I only really cared about those two acts, and it wasn't enough to bring me in to watch the whole show every week. But now since I got back, since Slammiversary and all the people really debuted and came back, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm very glad that I have been given the thing that's made me watch more than one big show, because I'm really, really enjoying Impact. So we're now, I believe, the time of recording, 31 days out from Bound for Glory. There are a few things I'm a little bit concerned about heading into Bound for Glory, but I'll talk about them as we get to it. So I'm going to get up my phone, get up my notes app, and we'll start with where the show started. We started with a triple threat match between Chris Bay, Trey Miguel, and TJP, and also TJP. And the winner is to face Rohit. With the winner facing Rohit, I thought this was setting up the main event, or not the main event, the exhibition title match for Bound for Glory. But it's not. Rohit was wrestling whoever won this match as soon as it finished. So it was kind of obvious that what was going to happen. But the match itself was fantastic, as you could expect from three, wrestlers on the level they are. I would compare none of them to Eddie Guerrero though, but TJP would on Twitter say he's just as good as Eddie Guerrero, and then say, oh, I didn't say I'm just as good as Eddie Guerrero. People have told me Who the fuck has told you you're just as good as Eddie Guerrero? Every single week, TJP, Austin Aries, and Flip Gordon make it so much harder to like them, and I hate the three of them, and I probably will make a video ranting about how dangerous they are for professional wrestling. Austin Aries not as much because he's not getting booked, because everyone fucking hates him, and I don't blame them. Anyway, they had this match. It was a very, very good match. Let's see what I've got here in my notes. For some spots, there was a bit where TJP was grabbing like an arm, looking like maybe for like a moonwalk or something with the legs or the arm or something, waiting for a crossface, and then Trey Miguel came in. So he was looking for that on Chris Bay. Trey Miguel came in, they let it go, tripped up Trey, got him into a sharpshooter, and rolled him over on top of Chris Bay and had a camel clutch in at the same time. That was great. Like I said, the three of them are amazing. There was a part where Chris Bay was on the outside and he went to come in through the middle rope and he got caught by a knee from Trey, who then grabbed TJP's arm and ran up the ropes for like the lucha sort of arm drag. But as he came off, double stomped the back of Chris Bay's head as he was folded over the ropes and then arm dragged him through. TJP was in, I think he had a submission on. Yeah, he had the knee bar in, and then Trey went to the top rope and landed the Flying Meteora, which I believe they call the Fresh Prince of Midair, as his move, is the name of the move. So he hit that, got the win, and then Rohit ran in and immediately ran up against the ropes, rolled him back for the roll-up, grabbed his tights, and got the win. So, this is where I talk about my concerns for Bound for Glory. And it's nothing to do with the quality of the wrestling. It's TJP. Someone said on Twitter that the anti-mask freaks should not be booked on shows. Flip Gordon, TJP, anyone else who thinks this is a violation of their civil liberties or whatever the fuck they want to say, whatever they Their tiny fucking pea brain tells them that it is. They should not be booked. It shows when there's a worldwide global health pandemic occurring. And I think they're okay because they batch taped. But I think they batch taped the entirety between Slammiversary and Bound for Glory. I think that's been taped. But by the looks of things, we're going to get a big 4, 5, 6 man X Division clusterfuck match, which I'm okay with. I want that. I need that to happen. But bringing TJP back into these tapings when you know he's not going to follow guidelines, you know he's going to get on his plane without his mask, you know he's going to be going to the shops without his mask. Bringing those people in is a liability because they're not going to adhere to the guidelines set in place. They're not gonna isolate themselves maybe a week before the show to then show up to the show. You know, they're not going to do these things that a regular human being would. If I was a professional wrestler and I've been booked on a show in America, so I'm working for AEW, and they're like, hey Jake, we want you to come out now, and you know, when you come back from Scotland, you can be on Dynamite for, you know, but it's going to be like a 3-month thing. I would get out for 2 weeks. I would make sure that whatever Tony Khan's putting me up has loads of food, and I would stay in there for 2 weeks, and then I would go to the shows. But he's not going to do that, and neither will Flip Gordon at Ring of Honor tapings. And we just need to. These people cannot be allowed to continue to wrestle on shows during this time. That's just what I think. So that's my concern for Bound for Glory, is I don't want the whole show being shut down because TJP caught coronavirus. Because out of everyone to shut down a show, it can't be TJP, because he's going to hang his hat on that. He'd be like, people call me Eddie Guerrero, I've never learned anything from being in the ring with anyone, so I'm better than everyone. Oh, and also I got a whole show shut down, so I'm so selfish. Wanker, don't write him. Anyway, up next we had an Eric Young promo, where he talked about what he did to Rich and what he did to Eddie. And he said that his conscience is clear. He doesn't care. Everything that happens now is on everyone else. And he continuously repeated, my conscience is clear. Really gave a good insight into the character that Eric Young is portraying just now, which is absolutely incredible. So after that, then we had a Tennille and Caleb with a K, who's Caleb Conley, our photographer, promo. Daniel Dashwood was wrestling Jordan Grace in the main event of Impact. And she was resting, having some, I believe, bee venom injections for therapy to help her rest up before her match. And I quite like the stuff I'm doing with Caleb Conley, although I would like to see him wrestle because I really like Caleb Conley. But yeah, this was just a fun little skit because I just like the character that Tennille's playing right now. And Caleb Conley is brilliant. Up next, we had a match between Kimberly, who was accompanied by Deonna Purrazzo, wrestling Susie, who was accompanied by Kylie Rae. And this match was great. I really enjoyed it. Right at the start, Kimberly went down and did the splits to be like, I'm better than you, and then Susie tried to get down and couldn't get down. And they just had to be a scrap. It was going back and forth for a while, but then obviously Deonna Purrazzo got involved. And then Kimberly took the lead. Anytime Susie would, sort of fire up and come back, there'd be big kicks from Kimberly. Big kicks, always. They look brutal. Towards the end, Susie channeled a bit of Su Yung and went for the Arachna Rana, but that was countered. She had her ankles on Kimberly's shoulders. Kimberly just put her arms around and just jumped off the middle rope into a Boston Crab. It was great. But down the stretch, some more shades of Su Yung came back in and out and in and out. And then eventually Kimberly was on the top rope and Susie was hitting her. And Deonna Purrazzo jumped up. Susie ducked an elbow from Deonna, who hit Kimberly and stunned her. She knocked Deonna off the rope and then took Kimberly in the middle of the ring and hit the panic switch. And then Su Yung started coming back as she started jutting her head and being more and more Su Yung. But then Kylie came in the ring and saved Susie. And Su Yung, that's bad. No Su Yung. We need to keep Susie. I really like this match. It's pushed forward. After that, after the bell, Kylie then called out Deonna to wrestle her at Bound for Glory for the championship. And that match is going to be great. But I wonder when they're bringing Su Yung back. This story's brilliant. Because not only are we pushing Kylie Rae to... Well, I don't think she should have beat Deonna, but we're pushing her into the title picture again. Is where she always should be. We're slowly peeling the mask back on Susie. And we'll eventually be getting Su Yung back. It's elevated Kimberly and it's made Deonna Purrazzo look like a star. So, just more of these four. Just more of it. A lot more of it, please. Then we had the Heath promo. If you've not seen the Heath promo, it's on Twitter. Go look for it. So Heath is walking around, it's sort of like it's like a campaign video, as wrestling always has around election years. But this one was done great. This one was good. I really enjoyed this. So Heath was walking around, doing his thing, and he's like, "My name's Heath. I used to have a second name, but now a billionaire keeps it in a safe." And he was like, "I love professional wrestling, and as the hottest free agent, I can go anywhere I want." And then he walks in, the security guard is like, "Heath, you're not allowed to be here. Leave." And then he's cut around. He goes, "As I say, I can be anywhere I want, but I want to be an Impact because my best friend's here. Look, there's a Rhino in the wild." And then it just cuts to Rhino and he does a pose, and it's great. And they keep talking about why Heath should be an Impact, and then they're like, "Don't take our word for it. Listen to these testimonies." And it was, first of all, David, like cameos they'd got. David Hasselhoff first, still with a cameo watermark as well. So David Hasselhoff was saying you need to hire Heath. He even called in Kit. And then Flavor Flav said, "You know what time it is?" Probably with big clock, and he was like, "It's time to hire Heath." Then there was an Olympic figure skater. I think she was a 2-time medalist. An Olympic figure skater, and she was like, "It's not easy doing a whatever move, but you know what is easy? Making the right decision and signing Heath to Impact." And then they got Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris was, "Oh, Scott D'Amore, do you want me to tell you a Chuck Norris fact? I can make onions cry. And I'll also make you cry if you don't sign Heath." And then, finally, there was a video of his 2 daughters telling Scott D'Amore that they should sign Heath. And honestly, sign Heath. Heath for Impact. Watch it. It's on Twitter. I'll put the link in the description. It was amazing. It was fantastic. Oh, it was so good. And you should 100% go out of your way and find it. It's like 4 minutes, but it's worthwhile. It's worth every second. Then after that, the Motorcycle Machine Guns were backstage, and the Good Brothers walked over and referred to them as the Motorcycle Machine Brothers, and they had a little chat. And then the Rascals came over because the Good Brothers have been calling them Young Boys for weeks. Young Boys this, Young Boys that, and they've had enough. They were screaming. They were like, "We're not Young Boys. We're better than most teams." I'm sure we gained the Machine Guns' respect. We're going to gain yours next week match. So, also, the Big LG put over Talking Shop beers coming soon. So whenever they're out, get yourself a Talking Shop beer if you're the legal drinking age in your country. Or just get your pal to get it, maybe, probably. That's what I would have done. But I'm not a role model, don't listen to me. Anyway, that's up a match for next week. The Good Brothers were being great, as always. Motorcycle Machine Guns were just there. Which it's always fun for me. And then we're getting the Rascals and the Good Brothers next week, and that is going to be incredible. I want to see just any move with the Hot Fire Flame, which is a move where I believe Dez stood at the opponent's laid out and Dez stood at their feet, and he goes to do a moonsault, and then Wentz pushes them in midair, and then they land on the chest. And I just need to see any combination. Like if the Big LG can catch him at midair. I thought about this the other day. So you know how we need Monty Brown to come back to wrestling? I'm going to tag him in, when I tweet this, I'm tagging him and saying, "Monty Brown, I advocate for your return to pro wrestling," which I do, because Monty Brown's great. I don't care that Monty Brown is in it, is 50 years old. Monty Brown should come back to pro wrestling. I don't care that he's not wrestled since 2007. He needs to come back. He just needs to hit the pounce. He needs to hit the pounce on like 3 times. I would like to see him team with Chris Bay, because they would have the most, they just have the most sauce on that roster. You ever seen those leopard print silk shirts? Sauce. He's team with Chris Bay, and he needs to be teaming against the Rascals, and hopefully they can do this safely. And the pounce Dez out the air as they go for Hot Fire Flame on Chris Bay to save his partner. That's all I need, just once. But yeah, I would love to see Monty Brown come back. And yeah, I want to see a move where the Big LG catches Dez out of Hot Fire Flame, like in midair, and then that got my brain rolling about why we should have Monty Brown back. Yeah, come back. Just one run. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Then we had an EC3 promo, which was great. So he was talking to Moose, and he goes, "Moose, I know what it feels like to have the TNA World Heavyweight Championship stolen. It's not a good feeling. But somebody stole it from you, and we're going to find out who. If anyone has any information, please phone Moose's phone. This is the number. Call this number with any information that you have, and we will find your TNA World Heavyweight Championship." And it's so great. I can't wait for Bound for Glory, because that's obviously where this is leading. I just want to see EC3 back in a wrestling ring, being EC3, and I can't wait. I really can't wait. And this was great. All the stuff from Moose is fantastic, so I'm very excited to see where this finally pays off. Then we had a Taya and Rosemary skit where Taya was like, I got beat up last week because you didn't help me. And she was like, but actually, you know, being a bride's stressful, you're about to get married, it's okay, don't worry about it. And then it cut from them to Johnny Bravo backstage with his groomsmen. It was the Deaners, Alicia Edwards, Crazy Steve, Johnny Swinger, and Fallah Bahh. And Alicia Edwards was like, listen, I'm part of the bridal party, I'm not a groomsman. And he was like, I don't care, you're here now, it's cool. Then the Deaners left because they had a match, or Cody had a match, so they left. And then Bravo named Swinger as best man, and then Fallah Bahh kicked off. So next week we're getting Fallah Bahh versus Johnny Swinger. The winner is the best man. Tommy at one point came in and started screaming match time as if it was Wrestle House, but they were like, it's no longer Wrestle House. Get out of here. This is it. We're settling in a ring in an arena instead of one in the back garden. This skit was fun. I like what's going on. I don't really know where it's going, but I'm excited to see where it goes. And obviously Wrestle House was great, and Wrestle House really endeared a lot of these characters to me, especially Cody Deaner. I wasn't a big fan of him before Wrestle House. I loved Jake something, love Cousin Jake. But yeah, this is quite good. I'm wondering when the wedding will be. It'll be Bound for Glory maybe, or the go home for Bound for Glory. And then we can set a match up because it's a wrestling wedding and it'll go wrong. Stonks. Then Cody Deaner was walking to the ring for his match, and him and Cousin Jake were jumped by Eric Young. And this beating went on for a while. The segment and all lasted 10 minutes. And there was like 7 minutes of just straight Eric Young beating the two of them. I beat up Cody and he pile drived them, and Cody's arm started twitching, which I thought was, you know, nice. I always kind of like when stuff like that happens. It's a bit, I don't know that I'd like it, but I think it's always interesting, I guess, is the way, I suppose. Eric Young then grabbed the mic after pile driving him, and he said, my conscience is clear. Something about, talked about Rich and Eddie and Scott D'Amore, and then he kept saying, my conscience is clear, and then he went and he locked Cody Deaner into the knee bar, or the figure four, that put Rich and Eddie out. Then Cousin Jake came in, and Cousin Jake got beat on. And then eventually Scott D'Amore came out and tried to reason with him. And then I started beating up Scott D'Amore. And then Eddie Edwards came back and made the save. And that was good fun. I really enjoyed that. It was a segment, I do think it lasted a little bit too long. I appreciate why no one coming out for like 6 or 7 minutes, because everyone's, you know, terrified of Eric Young. But I do think that could have been sort of compacted into like a 5-minute segment maybe. But still, it was good fun. Not good fun, but good story progression with these characters. Then we had a match with RVD and Sami Callihan again, which was kind of the same as the last one they had. There was a jumping before the bell. There was some bit of back and forth. Katie Forbes getting involved, bit of back and forth. But the stipulation was if RVD won, that Katie Forbes would get 5 minutes in the ring alone with Sami Callihan to do what she wants, to batter him. And RVD did win eventually after like 5-ish minutes. Callihan went to deal with Katie Forbes on the apron, who sprayed him in the eyes with hairspray, and then he got rolled up. And they started whooping on Callihan, who came back and grabbed Katie Forbes for the pile driver. Then RVD came in and they sort of whooped on him together. At one point they got a chair involved. The chair was on Sami's chest, and RVD hopped up for the frog splash, and Callihan just got up, threw the chair at RVD, and then hit Katie Forbes with a pile driver, and hopefully that's his story over. It's not that I don't like it, it's just it's ran its course. And he pile drived his wife. That's, you know, it was, and it's just that feels like the definitive ending for it, because RVD's the heel, and Katie Forbes is like possibly the most annoying person in all of wrestling when she wants to be, and she got hit with a pile driver. I think that's the ending for it. I hope it's the ending for it. I don't know what I want to see Sami Callihan go on to do now. Willie Mack. I would like to see him wrestle Willie Mack. Or Brian Myers. I've cracked it. Stonks. Oh, the Impact roster's so good. The Impact roster is so good. Oh, speaking of Brian Myers, I've just seen in my notes, I did miss a bit. There was a promo with him backstage where Gia walked over and asked if he was, mad about losing to Willie Mack. And then he said, I did win twice. She goes, but you cheated. And then he flipped the table and he freaked out. And then Tommy Dreamer came over and he said, look, you don't disrespect this place. They got right in each other's faces. Brian Myers said, I'm now the age that you were when you signed me. I'm no longer a kid. You don't tell me what to do. And they had a talk about fathers and respect. And it looks like we're going to get Brian Myers and Tommy Dreamer. I don't know if I want to see that on pay-per-view. Maybe if Tommy could, present a champion for Brian to wrestle on pay-per-view. I would like it. I really like Brian Myers, and I think what he's doing in Impact's great, and it's going to really revitalise his career, definitely. So just before the main event, we had one more promo, and it was Ace Austin and Sawyer Fulton were having a conversation backstage with Gia Adams, and they were interrupted by the North, who got up in their faces. And a screaming match ensued. Ethan Page called Sawyer Fulton an idiot, or Madman Fulton. And then they said, look, last week we teamed together, so you finally got to see what it feels like being part of the best tag team of all time. But we were responsible for the win. And then Sawyer Fulton, in a line that he probably thought sounded much cooler, said, any more of your lip and you'll be responsible for a broken orbital bone. Why not, just say you'll battle? Or something that wasn't as cool as he thought it sounded. But anyway, we're now getting, I think, those two are also wrestling next week. I think. Yeah, we are. Yeah, next week we're getting two very good tag matches between the Good Brothers and the Rascals, and then we're getting the North and Ace and Fulton. So that'll be good. That'll be really good. And hopefully just we give Man Fulton as little time on the mic as possible. Finally, we got the main event, which was Jordynne Grace wrestling Tenille Dashwood. Caleb with a K came out. He took the mic off of, oh my god, what's his name? The ring announcer. I can't remember his name. Took the mic off the ring announcer, and then announced Tenille. Then Jordan came out, and they just had a bit of a hoss off. Tenille's not really a hoss, but she's I think they said she's the tallest wrestler on the Knockout roster. She's a fantastic wrestler. And the pair of them had a really good match. Jordan sort of had an early flurry, but as she went to go for a dive, Tenille was pulled out of the way by Caleb Conley, and then Tenille took the upper hand. And then just for the rest of the match had the upper hand. Grace had a few comebacks with one really nasty looking Michinoku driver, but every time, she would make a couple steps in the right direction, there would be, a distraction or whatever, or just Tenille would counter, and Tenille would gain the upper hand for a long time. Eventually, Grace did try for the Grace driver, but was unable to hit it. Tenille came back with one final flurry and hit the spotlight kick for the win, and a very good competitive match, which I would like to see run back on pay-per-view and given half an hour, because I think they're both fantastic. And then, as always is with Impact after the main event, there's one little sort of backstagey thing that goes for 30 seconds. Eddie Edwards was leaving the building. The lights go out and the lights come back up, and he's been knocked out. And I don't know who it is. I don't think it's Eric Young, but we'll need to wait and see. So overall, that was Impact this week. Impact was a very good show. I'll start adding in wee number grades, I guess. Out of 10, I would say this was an 8. I would say this was an 8. Yeah, an 8. It was quite light on the in-ring action, very promo heavy, and that Eric Young segment did take up a little bit too long, but all the in-ring stuff was very tight, very good, except for the Callahan and RVD stuff, but I wasn't really expecting a Matt Classic from those two. But, like I say, I think this was a very good episode of Impact. I think Impact are very much on the rise. If you'd have told me 2 years ago I would care more about Impact than I do NXT, I'd have punched you. That's just it. But Impact are great. And hopefully they just continue to keep building and building towards Bound for Glory. And then after Bound for Glory, they can maybe not get the same level of hype as Slammiversary, but can keep building and building and get to a nice, secure position. I really enjoyed the show, and I will see you back here tomorrow for an AEW Dynamite review.